everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of the entire history of. Today is an exciting one. We're going to be doing the entire history of mermaids in The Sims. Obviously to celebrate Island Living coming out. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of mermaids. I have got a video up, I'm pretty sure, of me testing whether or not I'm a fan of mermaids. Hopefully that will have went up, and that will have went up before this video, so go check that one out if you want. But this is just the entire history of. I've just realised that you can also see the Pringles tube that I smashed into me last night in it, an entire tube within about 15 minutes. I'm just going with the shame. Let's just jump straight into it. I say that after like a minute introduction. But first time we meet Mermaid is actually in the Sims 3 Island Paradise. They came with the dreaded world that is Isla Paradiso. Don't even get me started on this world because I will not stop. I still don't think I've fully played with this world because it is just so laggy, and Island Paradise broke my game. Anyway, now that I'm chilled, let's move on. They are kind of a new addition to the game. We've messed around with magic and occult since pretty much The Sims 1, so they are quite a latecomer. First thing I'm going to be talking about with mermaids in The Sims 3 is their appearance. So obviously it's a mermaid, so they're going to have the infamous tail. I don't know why I'm calling it infamous as if it's a bad thing, but they have the notorious Here we go again. I honestly think I might be prejudiced against mermaids. Actually, we all kind of know that I am. I'm not the biggest fan of mermaids. No secrets here. But the tail. Both men and women have the tail, which is revealed when they're in the water. They don't have the tail if they're just on the land normally. If they're on the land, they've just got normal legs, but they've got scales on and they're all colourful. Honestly, I didn't think I would like this, but I actually do. It's just a nice subtle hint towards the mermaids in the game, and it's a lot more discreet than the wings that came with fairies in The Sims 3. So I'm quite happy with them. Like, oh, hey, yeah, magical, but I'm not in your face about it. And you can also be a mermaid from a toddler, but your tail will only show up in water from being a teen onwards, which is kind of nice. It's kind of like puberty, but a bit more rewarding. And one thing that is interesting is that you can actually make a mermaid within Creator Sim with The Sims 3. This is different than other occults. I still can't pronounce that word, but like werewolves, witches, fairies and that, you could make them in The Sims 3. So if you want to be a vampire, you just bippity boppity boom, press a couple of things, huzzah, you're a vampire. But it is a bit odd that you can't make mermaids straight away from Creator Sim. In some ways it makes sense because it's not actually part of the supernatural pack, so I can understand him not following the same kind of thing as that. But you can become a mermaid if you want to in The Sims 3. You just can't do it in Creator Sim, which is what confuses me a little bit. So either give me all or give me nothing here. Don't leave me hanging in the middle. Nice little bridge there. This leads me on to how to become a mermaid in The Sims 3. So there are 3 ways to become a mermaid. The first one is by befriending a mermaid and asking them about fish parts while you're both underwater. Now, this seems a little bit fishy to me, pardon the pun. It just sounds a bit off, doesn't it? Like, can you imagine being a mermaid and obviously having like fish parts, going swimming with your mate who's a human, and then in the middle of the water they're like, hey, can you tell me about fish parts? Maybe I'm just taking this wrong and it means fish parts like hearts and stuff, but I don't know. If that was me, I would axe that friendship. Too far, Tony, too far. The next way is by purchasing the Mermaidic kelp lifetime reward. Now, I'm just gonna let you know, mermaidic, that word does not come off the tongue for me. I don't know if it's my accent or if I'm just thick, possibly both, but I can't say that word. I don't know how you pronounce it. You get the kelp reward. I'll just call it the kelp. I'll call it that. You eat it, bish bash bosh, you're a mermaid. And then the final way is through genetics, which again is mad that you can become a mermaid through genetics but still not in Creator Sim. I don't get it. But if your mum and dad are a mermaid, then the chances of you being a mermaid are obviously quite high. And in terms of needs, mermaids' needs differ just a little bit from human needs, but they're going to, because obviously they're their own special thing. And the 2 needs that differ are hydration and hunger. So if you're a fish, it's not really going to be good for you to stay out of water for a long time. There is the whole saying of a fish out of water, so you can't really be constantly dry. If you're a mermaid in The Sims 3, just pop into a pool, relax a little bit, get some water, any form of water, you're good to go. And you can even just stand in the rain and that'll help. And I may or may not have done that as a 13-year-old emo. It's up in the air. What's cool is warm weather or fires will also affect them and cause them to dehydrate faster. And I like this little touch because for me, it's little things like these, like being near a fire makes your mermaids dehydrate. It's not overlooked, that kind of thing. It just makes the game so much more enjoyable, just the little things. It's like, oh, I just enjoy it. And the other need is hunger. So because they're not human, they don't really thrive off human food. If you shot a full English in there, they probably wouldn't take you up on it. So they eat fish and kelp instead. This one kind of got to me, I'm not gonna lie, because all I could think of was a little mermaid and all of her mates are fish and she's a mermaid. So all I'm thinking right now is just that scene from Finding Nemo where it's like,
fish are friends. not food.
However, thankfully, your mermaid can be veggie in The Sims 3 and they just eat kelp and not the fish. Thank the Lord. All of this so far sounds like pretty hard work with not much benefits, but obviously there are benefits to becoming a mermaid. You can be underwater forever and not even struggle one little bit. That will be my dream, that I'm such a water baby. It's just so me. And this means a lot in The Sims 3 because The Sims 3 had actual diveable worlds almost. So if you went diving, it would take you to a different place, not just a rabbit hole, and you could explore it. Human Sims could only be in this place for a certain amount of time because of the lack of air and they'd have their old scuba diving kit on and everything. But mermaids can just explore this as much as they want and never think about air, which is great because they're mermaids. And they can also swim faster than human Sims, and they by default have a maximised scuba diving skill, which I think that's pretty cool. I do. So as soon as you're a teenager and you're age up, you've just maximised scuba diving. Hopefully they're not allowed to compete in like the Olympics or like that, but just have to take a second actually to remind myself that this is a game and not real. And Isla Paradiso also had these secret little islands with clouds over them that you could gradually unlock, and one of these islands was a mermaid island. You unlock this by becoming best friends with a mermaid, and she'd like, you know, come up to you, offer to show you the island, you'd see the island, and voila, it was unlocked. So that's pretty much everything from Mermaids in The Sims 3. They were actually quite good and they fit in very well with the island that they came from. They weren't just an extra addition. For example, witches with The Sims 2 apartment life didn't really make sense because apartments, which are quite a modern thing, witches, I don't see the two together, but Mermaids and Isla Paradiso really went well together. Even though the pack wasn't as refined as it possibly could have been, if it would have been refined, this would have been amazing. From this, we move on to The Sims 4, and I do just want to say that I'm recording this on a Tuesday. We haven't even got the pre-release of Island Living yet, so keep that in mind. So there may be like a power or two that I'm missing. So similar to The Sims 3, there are still 3 ways to become a mermaid. You can eat mermaidic kelp, there's that name again that I can't get. You can attain this by either searching the cave or getting it off a dolphin, which will turn you into a mermaid. And dolphins are so cute in this pack. They are so cute. And you can also become a mermaid through genetics, again similar to The Sims 3. If your parents are mermaids, you're probably going to be one. But unlike from The Sims 3, you can't just make a mermaid straight from Create Sim in The Sims 4. And honestly, the Create Sim for mermaids is so good. So this kind of leads me on to talking about the appearance and everything. And there is a lot of customization, a lot more than in The Sims 3. There's different tails, skin colours, eye colours, teeth, etc, etc. So you can really customize them and make them have their own personalities through look. And you don't have to follow the stereotypical fairy tale type of mermaid, which I really, really like, because I don't like everything just being like, oh, everything's so great and no one's gonna die. I want that fear sometimes, you know. And there is a lot of options for darker mermaids, and you can mix and match items from the Vampires pack and Island Living, and you can make basically the stuff of nightmares. What more could you want? But unlike in The Sims 3, when your mermaid is on land, they don't have scaly legs. I did like their scaly legs, but I am also okay with this. They weren't that much of a big thing to me. They were a nice little nod, but also I'm over it. And you also don't show that you're a mermaid until you're a teen, whereas in The Sims 3, toddlers, children, you could see that they were mermaids. You don't get anything until you're a teenager in a year. I would have loved toddler and child mermaids, but I can also live without them, and I can see why they're not in there, because can you imagine? Because they've completely done the animations from scratch, and the animations are really, really good. I mean, this is just an assumption. This isn't necessarily why they haven't. I'm just thinking in my head. The time constraints of having to do all them animations for children and toddlers too, when it's mainly adult mermaids that people are going to play with, I can see why they're not a thing. So like I said earlier, just think of it as puberty, and it kind of makes sense. Like, now you're a woman, you get your tail kind of thing. And for the needs, the only need that is really different than normal Sims is hydration. They hydrate in the exact same ways as The Sims 3, and being in the sun again can cause dehydration at a faster rate, and I like that. To be honest, I didn't trust The Sims 4 to include something like that, but I will say I am a bit worried because I haven't been able to play with mermaids a lot, so I'm not like the master of them or anything, but I am a bit worried because sometimes The Sims 4 for me feels a bit style over substance. So yeah, we've got great customization in Create Sim, but how does this play out in the actual world? Has too much of the effort being put on Create Sim? We'll find out. I'll come back to this video in like 6 months and I'll agree or disagree with that statement. Now for the powers, which is like the main thing, apart from the looks actually. I think with mermaids it's the looks and then the powers. So they can swim super fast, and I mean super fast, which is a benefit. And the rest of the powers can be dependent upon the trait. So if you have a good mermaid, she can do good spells. If you have a bad mermaid, she can do bad ones. But if they aren't either and they're just kind of ambiguous, then they can have all of the powers. I don't really think is fair. Your powers do impact upon your hydration, so the higher the level of power that you're going to need to put out in the world, that's the only way I could describe that right there. My mind drew a blank. The more likely you're going to need to go get a shower or something to, you know, hydrate yourself, or have a little paddle in the piddling pool. Paddle in the piddling pool, oh my god. Paddle in the kiddie pool. And you can also sing lullabies to Sims, but you can also do things that have more lasting effects. Like, for example, you can call for dolphins, which I think is one of the best things about this. Mermaids and dolphins have a really good relationship in this pack. They're really kind of intertwined together. I've already said it, but dolphins are the cutest thing in this pack. And you can also do powers on other people. So there's Mermaid's Kiss, which lets people dive underwater for longer. There's Aquatic Lure, which brings fishes near for fishing, which is kind of bad because aren't mermaids kind of fish? Kind of live in the same place as fish, so isn't that kind of killing your own people? Maybe a little bit genocide-y? I don't know. You can also use a conch. Do not know how that word's pronounced, and I think we did get told at EA Player how to pronounce that, but I can't remember. You can use that to summon other mermaids, and also if you have seasons, you can use this to summon a thunderstorm, which I think is really cool. A lot cooler than the totem pole that we got in The Sims 3 with the merging of supernatural and seasons, because that wasn't really that usable in my opinion. But with the conch, it's just like so I like it. And now for my favorite powers. I was really not expecting these to come from The Sims 4, but here we are. One of them is called Siren's Call, which can lure Sims near you and then you can drag them under the water. And the other is Ocean Threat, which brings this big black thing in the ocean, which again pulls a Sim underneath water. And if you do this enough, again and again and again, you can actually drown a Sim. This is what I like to see, guys. This is 100% what I like to see. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I've been missing. I want murder, I want death, I want challenges. Thank you, EA. And that is pretty much everything I have to say about mermaids. Like I said, they've only been in The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, so there's not actually that much on them. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the entire history of, and if you've got the new pack, I really hope you're enjoying playing with it as well, because I'm not gonna lie, I think it's my favorite pack so far. I think next week, if everything goes to plan, because I have a lot of videos to pre-record in the next couple of days, so hopefully I'll be able to get it done, but there should be an entire history of magic coming out next week, so stay tuned for that on Sunday. And please subscribe if you haven't already, because we're getting so close to 100,000 now, I can feel it. So I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys.